The spiritual path is a way that one must first travel alone. The pilgrim remains alone on the cliffs of ascent. You must be under no illusion. You cannot expect from the old man, not even from family, relatives and friends, any support, but only rejection and resistance. You must be prepared to be in your surroundings the only, the last, or better, the first warrior of light. The significance of the present-day hero is based on the realization that from no earthly quarter can he expect cooperation. Jesus' unwavering striving was supported by no one around him, except his mother. As you progress, you will find new companions over time. A real community you can form only with those who, like you, are walking the spiritual path and striving for the same goal. A wayfarer should not be distressed if by and by he may be left in solitude. There are paths difficult to traverse in company. Sustained attention to the goal leads to new traveling companions. Loneliness is helpful to overcome physical or mental illness. It would be good to remember the remedy of ancient times, when sick people would go into seclusion and remain close to nature. This was done not only in cases of contagious diseases, but when the organism was in need of renewal. The fact that people dream of and look for seclusion reveals a healthy instinct for the preservation and restoration of health. It is creative. Only in silence reach us the best and highest thoughts. Solitude transmits a better message than the gossip of the crowd. Its destruction through today's mass society is the devil's work. The spirit of darkness, pondering how to still more firmly lash humanity to earth, thought, "Let them keep their old customs and habits. Nothing binds humanity so much as habitual forms. But this is fit only for the multitudes. Far more dangerous to us is solitude, in which the consciousness is illumined and new forms are created." Therefore, time in solitude must be severely limited. People must not be allowed to remain alone. I shall provide them with a mirror image, so that they may become accustomed to being with their own image. Thus did the servants of darkness bring a mirror to the people. In truth, there is no loneliness. The temple student is in spiritual contact with his teacher, his classmates, and his spiritual brothers and sisters. He is incorporated in the hierarchy of souls. In the spiritual community of those who walk the path together today and at all times, the pilgrim is safe. As long as you remain on the path and act down here on earth on behalf of the hierarchy, all the masters, saints, heroes of faith and martyrs stand behind you. The daring one is not afraid of solitude, for in spirit he feels the bond with the hierarchy of light. In the broadcasting on meditation, we shall see how you can turn to your soulmates at any time. There is a universal remedy against loneliness available to everyone. Such feelings can be dispersed by turning in thought to friends. One has friends not only on earth, but can also appeal to many faithful co-workers from the subtle world. Furthermore, one can know about us, and appeals directed to us will not go unanswered. If you open your heart, you can feel already in the physical state the presence and care of your spiritual friends from the other world. It seems to me that it is truly joyous to realize that solitude does not exist, and that each one of us is surrounded by loving souls on this or another plane. With such transmissions, these loving souls endeavor to create around us a benevolent atmosphere, but it is necessary to realize this. To open our heart to their calls and transmissions, and not to obstruct them by dark emanations issuing from oppressive thoughts colored by doubt, and often by an absolutely unsubstantiated offense. Dark emanations are impenetrable for subtle energies. Finally, we come to the third aspect of the life in two worlds. If you want to be an immortal, a non-material spiritual being, a soul, you have to learn to live the life of your soul. Your soul lives and acts entirely naturally in both the terrestrial world by the physical body, as well as the spiritual world by the subtle body. Learn to live simultaneously in both the earthly and the supermundane world. So you can, with the help of the soul, already when incarnated on earth, take part in the life of your homeland, the world beyond. It is one thing to discuss abstractly distant worlds. It is another to realize oneself a participant there. How can you achieve this practically? First, you must realize your true home is not down here, but up there in the world beyond. There you spend much more time than on earth. There you live together with your soulmates, your spiritual family, in a world that truly corresponds to the height of your consciousness, undisturbed by lower creatures. It would be correct to think of such co-workers of ours not as dwellers of earth, but rather as guests, filled with memories of better worlds. Your eternal individuality, the soul, is, as a spiritual being, a stranger on the material level. Exiled down here, it feels like an alien from a higher planet. Furthermore, become aware. You are being expelled from time to time from the paradise of your home and are being sent, like Adam and Eve, to the inhospitable material level, in order to enable your soul to continue to grow and to perfect itself further, and in order to learn to master the earthly conditions. Above all, each of us has received from above a personal mission which he has to fulfill. Therefore, we all are ambassadors of the higher spheres on a strange, barbaric planet, to the improvement of which we have to contribute according to our faculties. This is a high dignity. This you should never forget. Manifest yourself in your surroundings always as the envoy of a higher power on a primitive planet. Living in two worlds further means you have to follow, even in the material world, the higher customs and laws that are compulsory for you in your home, in the ashram, in the other world. As a creature who belongs to both worlds, you must also meet the conditions of both levels. The envoy must not jeopardize his dignity. You must not submit to the primitive conditions, to the uncivilized customs of the inhabitants of your host country, whom you are sent to uplift. You should not make common cause with those whom you are to lead to a higher level. A yogi is able to do everything, but not all is permitted to him. A good example of a life in a foreign environment, according to the customs of the homeland, is the service of a German soldier in Afghanistan. He is called to temporarily carry out a mission in a foreign country. He lives there, but in accordance with German customs. He watches German television, eats German food, and is subject to German law. He, as often as possible, by letter, telephone, or Skype, cultivates the connection to his home, his family, and his girlfriend. He remains a German, even if he has been exiled among Afghans. Specifically, this means if you want to be a spiritual disciple, you need to live even among strangers, even on the material level, according to the laws of the ashram of the higher world to which you belong, according to the instructions of your teacher, according to the rule of the disciple, according to the 10 pillars of the practice of Agni Yoga, which we are about to discuss. The lowest level, the material world, is the ultimate test of whether you really, in your essence, are already a disciple, a co-worker of the Mahatmas, which is only possible if you manifest yourself not only above, but also down here as such a person. If you do not manage to appear as a disciple on the material level, your existence as a disciple in the higher world ends as well. While away from home on an assignment to a foreign country, you crave, of course, like the soldier in Afghanistan, to maintain the connection with the homeland and, whenever possible, to return there on visits or on holidays. The old man expects to return to his spiritual home not earlier than at his death. The new attitude of the Agni Yogi is: you start every day in your home. For those of you who have chosen the eternal identity as a spiritual disciple, that means in the ashram, in the timeless community with your teacher and your classmates. You can, in the morning meditation, actually move your spiritual being, your eternal identity to that place. From this higher world, from this higher position, you descend down to earth in order to work here during the day. In the evening, you, your spiritual being, climbs back to the mountaintop, to your home in the spiritual world. In this way, the life in two worlds becomes real, concrete, and practical. You can recognize that the chosen ones are on the path if the invisible world has become real and accessible to them. This is not as fantastic as it may seem. Imagine that there actually lives a great teacher, physically incarnated in your neighborhood. How would this change your everyday life? Hardly at all. You would have to continue to spend most of the day in fulfilling your obligations in your profession and your family. You will be glad if you can spare a few minutes of time in the morning before the day and in the evening after work to visit the teacher and to receive comfort, strength, and instructions. No different is our approach, only that you visit the teacher in his ashram, not physically, but in spirit. The effect in both cases is the same. Do not live in the present. Do not allow the transient matters to affect you. Live in eternity, beyond time and space, beyond the perishable things. The old man thinks, I live my earthly life and visit the church now and then to be edified. The new man looks at the same material life situation from exactly the opposite point of view. He lives in the upper world. He visits the earthly level only temporarily. He returns home as soon as possible. For him, the supermundane existence is the true, the real life. The new perspective allows you a real transfiguration of your everyday life. You can live in the highest conceivable world, in your personal paradise. However, the outer material living conditions may look like.